All right.
Jocko. Next question. Jocko, did you do anything ritualistically to get yourself mentally prepared, focused, and in the proper mindset? So just before carrying out a mission, such as self-talk, music, or other actions, get yourself revved up.
Pre-operation preparedness for the mental state. So people ask this, and it actually sounds like a pretty cool question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty cool question. I'm sure people wonder that. It's a lot of times because you think SEALs and soldiers and Marines must have some kind of deep and incredibly meaningful, borderline religious ceremony that they go to and through in order to prepare their mind for combat. Maybe it's a meditation on the warrior code. Or maybe it's an aggressive song to pique your adrenaline. Maybe it's a breathing exercise. We got a special breathing exercise that's going to heighten my mental awareness. And there's even SEALs, and I use that term loosely, that have written books on that subject of, this warrior mindset and the Navy SEAL breathing techniques and the visualization and things like that. No. I hate to spoil the romantic vision of the mindful warrior poet, but that actually, that idea just, it is not what happens. And here's the reality. First and foremost, when you are in combat and you're preparing for an operation, you are freaking busy. You are busy. You are planning. You're doing coordination. You're doing gear prep. You're doing briefings. You're making all these adjustments and changes to everything that's happening. We are scrambling around. I was talking to Leif the other day, and there was most of the time, if we were going on in the field on an operation, we wouldn't be sleeping for 24 hours before we went in the field. Okay. Maybe we'd get 2 or 3 hours, but it was a sleep deprivation before we went in the field, because of all the planning and preparation that needed to be done, especially on the big operations with battalion-sized or brigade-sized operations. There's so much planning and preparation that needs to be done that you're not just sitting around figuring out what kind of mental prep you're going to do. There's just last-minute detail. There's a phone call you got to place to higher headquarters. There's a deconfliction document that you got to prepare. You got to get stuff done. So taking some kind of meditative moment to get in the right mindset, it's just not happening. You just don't have the time for it. Now, that being said, mindset, it is a part of combat, right? And so how did I get in the right mission mindset? Well, the mindset is not achieved in the minutes or even hours before an operation, from, chanting a mantra or breathing or meditation or listening to some song that's going to get you in touch with your warrior spirit. The mindset is achieved in the weeks and the months and the years before that specific operation commences. That's another thing. The idea from that, actually I was raised on in the 90s in the SEAL teams, was like, you were going to do a mission. Mm-hmm. We used to joke about it and call it the big mish, right? Mm-hmm. The big mission was going to come. It was going to be one mission, right? And you could get, hey, we're going to plan for it. We're going to plan for it for weeks, maybe even months, and we're going to be able to visualize everything, and we're going to have all this time. The reality is, overseas, since the war started, man, you're doing an operation every night. You're going out. You got another one. You come back. You're planning for that one. And when that one gets canceled for whatever reason, there's 2 more that you're planning for, and you're running out to grab intelligence. You're meeting with somebody else. It's just constantly ongoing. So we weren't ever preparing for one mission. We were preparing for mission after mission. We'd have 5, 6, 7, 10. We'd have 10 operations in the hopper at any given time. that we're planning and preparing for. We're gathering intelligence for. We're setting up. We're doing route studies for 4 or 5 different operations at one time. Then finally one rises to the occasion. Boom, we're going to go hit that one. The next night, another one's up the top. We're going to go hit that one. Yeah. So, again, this idea that I think came from the 90s of, hey, we're going to do the big mish. Yeah. And we're going to have to get in the mental mindset. No, we lived in the mental mindset. But that mindset came from the training that we went through, the grueling training, through the repetition of the fundamental skill sets. The mindset comes from the discipline, from waking up early, from studying tactics, from understanding the enemy, from all those unmitigated daily disciplines. That's where the mindset comes with. It comes from. And I'll tell you, on top of that, you have to come to grip with some pretty horrific potential outcomes, right? You have to accept some solemn possibilities, like that you might be severely wounded or that you might be killed. And you also have to think that about the guys, your friends. That is another possibility that you have to think about. But for yourself, you have to accept that possibility. You have to accept that potential outcome that you could die, and you have to accept that. Now, you don't want it. Of course, you want to live, but you have to accept the fact that in the game of combat, you could very well die. And I knew that. And I was okay with it. But I had come to that conclusion a long time before whatever operation I was getting to roll out on one particular night during a 6-month-long deployment. So the mindset is built over time, and like knowledge that you have, the mindset, it becomes so ingrained. That knowledge becomes so ingrained that you don't have to cram for it. Like you'd cram for a final exam. You don't have to cram for the test of combat in the last minute. You already know. You already have the confidence. You know you've done everything possible to prepare mentally, to prepare physically, to prepare emotionally. And then when the call comes and you put on your camis and you fill up your canteens and you put on your helmet and you lock down your night vision, you lock and load your weapon to roll out the gate, you're ready.
You ever seen the movie Gone in 60 Seconds? Remember that movie?
I've seen no movies that you've seen.
No, that's not true. There's a part where they're carjackers, a team of car thieves. They got to do this mission to save the brother. You know, they're all retired. That's why. But they got to do this one last mission. So the big mish. The big mish. Yeah, exactly.
So they go through a thing, getting in a mindset drill. Yeah. So check it out. Imagine if in the movie they were doing that mission every single night. Yeah. Eventually they're not going through that drill every night because they know they've prepared. They know they got their mind right, and they're going to go out and execute the operation. That's the difference.
Or maybe they would do it every night. This is what they do.
All right, let's hear it.
They put on Lowrider, the song. Then they just kind of listen to it, and then they go. Super subtle.
Yeah.
Maybe check it out.
Yeah. Some guys, crank up a song. We had speakers. We actually had speakers outside. Sometimes the guys would be blasting some music, but it was no like a ritualistic thing where we all sat there, closed our eyes, and listened to the same song at the same time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
and you know what? I was either my 2 combat deployments. I was a platoon commander. I was a task unit commander. So I was busy. I was all that planning stuff that I'm talking about was me. If I was going out, if I wasn't going out, then I wasn't doing anything ritualistically to get ready to go out.
Yeah.
But you're busy. People don't understand how busy you are in combat. Not just while you're on the battlefield, but when you're back in the rear, preparing to go or preparing or planning for operations.
Yeah, I would imagine some people, because even the small. I mean, really, how far you want to stretch the word like ritual, right? So I'm sure some people would, right? Maybe
Yeah,
like
like I said,
get like a lucky thing, or I don't know.
hey, people carried that's now you're getting in a different realm here. You're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about superstition.
Well,
And you're also talking about, so I had certain patterns that I followed, right?
Yeah.
But those patterns were not for my mental state. They were to be prepared.
Right.
It's kind
Yeah,
of, I've talked about how I had a cot filled with my gear, and when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put all that gear on, I was ready.
Yep.
Right? That's, and I put the gear on the same way every time because you're going through a process and a procedure so that you make sure you get everything right. Even when I'm coming to record the podcast, I do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
I get this ready, I get that ready, I print the stuff out, I bring the same pens, the same stupid pens. I bring them all the time because I have a pattern that I go through so that I'm ready for what we're going to do.
Right.
That's a standard operating procedure to be ready for the operation. Whether it gets me in a mental state, yeah, I guess it does get me in a little mental state.
And technically, that is a ritual.
Well, then I guess I'm busted.
There you no, you're the man, of course, for sure. You're not busted, but
No,
yeah,
I think I am busted because that is definitely a ritualistic thing to go through. And if I talk about being in combat, sure, you're getting your gear on, you're you're programming your radio, you're getting a radio check. But again, the reason it doesn't really hit me as a ritualistic thing because those are standard procedures that you're going to prepare for the mission.
Right.
You're not they're physical things that have to be done.
Yeah.
They're not for mental preparation. Now, does your mind know what's coming? Yes, and I'll tell you a classic example is when you put down your night vision, which for those of you who don't understand this, you have a helmet on and you have night vision on it can flip up where you're just looking through your regular eyes, but then when you black out the vehicles and you flip your night vision down, you're in a different world. You're in a green world of darkness where you know what's you're about to do.
Yeah.
So whenever I flip my night vision down, it would always give me a sensation. Again, it wasn't this is preparing me. I knew that it was time, right? There's a difference. There's a subtle difference. No difference?
I'm sure there is a difference, but there's overlap there where I think that is. I mean, like I said, it depends how loose you want to use the word ritual, but technically, yeah. Like remember you said one time you said something about before you guys roll out, everyone starts their engines at the same time. Ritual, right there. And
ritual, however. Standard operating procedures. Yeah, it's a functional thing. Like you got to put your night vision goggles down. You have to do that. It's what you're going to do. Right. And when you do that, because you've done it 100 times before, you know that that's now game on.
But if you're just putting your night vision goggles down, that's not really the ritual. But if it's like I'm going to put my night vision goggles down after I do this every single time, that's a ritual. Or we all do it together. Like when it's repeated.
You're calling it a ritual. You're putting a ritualistic flavor to it. It's a standard operating procedure. It's a process.
They can be
right,
both,
but I'm saying it's not ritualistic because there was no embedded deeper meaning that was put on top of it purposely. Right?
Yeah, that's it's not very ceremonial.
We're trying to make it. We're trying to make it in something that's not. Right? Do you follow the same standard operating procedures? Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
do you and when we talk about fighters, I've been with a lot of fighters and coached them, and those guys have little ritualistic things to get. Sometimes it is music, right? Because they're going to go fight a 5-minute round and they're going to listen to something, or they're going to sit there and close their eyes and think about what's important to them. That's fine. I'm telling you, when I was overseas, I didn't have time to do any of that. We were running around. Never once did I say, stand by. Hey, no one talk to me for the next 3 minutes while I get in the zone. Yeah. No. I was in the zone because I spent my, did a workup, spent my time in the teams, went through training, shot my gun, knew what I was doing. Yeah. And so I didn't need to get in the zone. And I think that's why I think I'm sensitive to this. And here's why I think I'm sensitive to this. I think I'm sensitive to this because I think people try and tell people or sell people on the fact that if you do these things, it will prepare you mentally for a pressure situation. Yeah. And that's what bothers me about it. That's what bothers me about it is, hey, if you do this, this is what it is. If you take this shortcut, then you will be prepared. Right. Because I would never tell someone, oh, you want to fight an MMA fight? You're going to get in the cage? Cool. Here's what you need to do to train for that. 3 minutes before you enter the cage, go into a room, shut your eyes, and think about how you're going to win the fight. That is not true. Yep. Now, I guess this is where you've just gotten this out of me, Echo. You took me to my point that I believe in, right? Yep. That is not what prepares you for the fight. What prepares you for the fight is the years and years of training that you've done to get there. Mm-hmm. The last 3 minutes, you can have a ritual and it can put your mind in the right place, but that's not what's putting your mind in the right place. Yeah. What's putting your mind in the right place is the months and months and years of training. Same thing with on the battlefield. If someone said, hey, I'm about to go execute a direct action mission, what should I do to prepare for that? I wouldn't say, well, what you need to do is listen to your favorite Motorhead song. That is not going to help you. What you need to do is you need to do this. You need to go this shooting. You need to work on these type of tactics. You need to understand what to do when someone gets wounded. You need to have standard operating procedures for how to go into and out of buildings. You need to understand how to clear rooms with open doors, closed doors, corner-fed rooms, all these different things that you need to know.
Yep.
I would tell you all that stuff. But what I don't like is when someone says, oh, what you need to do to be ready is do this last fraction of a thing.
Yep.
And that's what's going to prepare you for combat. No, not true.
Yeah.
What prepares you for combat, what prepares you for a fight, what prepares you for a tough business decision, what prepares you for a pressure scenario that you're going into isn't the 3 minutes before. That's the icing on the cake. So I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the daily disciplines for months and weeks and years that led you up to the point so that when I went in combat for the first time and shot my gun for the first time, it wasn't about the song that I listened to. It wasn't about the breathing that I did. It was the discipline and the training that got me there. So maybe I was a little bit hard coming out of the gate on this idea, but that's why it was hard. And I didn't really understand that in my own mind until you started leading me down this road. Because that stuff does, when I see somebody trying to sell that, I don't like that.
Yep.
I don't like that. Do I have rituals? Yes, I absolutely. I mean, I even have rituals for when I get up in the morning.
Yep.
And what I do, I fill my water bottle. My water bottle every night when I go to bed is in the same spot. When I get up out of bed in the morning, my water bottle's there. I put my, I go very quietly in the bathroom. We talk about this. I do what I got to do in there. I come out. It's dark. I grab my water bottle. It's already where I know it's going to be. I don't need to turn on any lights. It's where it's supposed to be. That's a ritual. I go to the kitchen. It's dark in the kitchen. I fill up the water bottle by sound because you know how it's a little beautiful sound as it fills up. It gets higher and higher and higher, and then boom, you kill it. Now I walk out. I flip on a light in the back of the house. Put the shoes on because I'm not bothering anyone. So there's a little ritual there. When I walk up to the gym, plug in the music, and now it's time to get after it. So there's a ritual there. There's even when I go to the gym and do jiu-jitsu, I have a little ritual that I follow there. I come in, I tape the fingers, I do what I got to do. For those of you people that are going to ask, I tape the 2 fingers on my right hand, my pinky and my ring finger on my right hand, because my pinky's got a little judo finger, right? So I tape those 2 together. It also gives me a little bit of that friction on the guillotine. At least that's what I've told Echo, to further intimidate and scare him of the guillotine. So there's some little ritualistic things there. Yeah. If Dean's there, when I'll go in the sauna for 5 minutes and just get a little bit warm before he sees me sweating, he doesn't like to see me sweating because he knows that I'm. It's on, right? So I'll go in there just to send a little mental vibe to Dean that, you know what, Jocko's already sweating. He says, damn. So those ritualistic things, those are the fraction, the tiniest part of what you need to do to prepare. The preparation, the mindset doesn't come from those things. You want to close out that final bit and make it something ritualistic that gets you in the right mindset. Do it. But that is not where the money is made. The money is made in everything that leads up to those final 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes of ritualistic behavior that you have to get you ready to rock and roll.
So,
bring it.
What can we extrapolate there? So the question is no. Really? I mean, you maintain really, because the question is, do you do anything ritualistically to get yourself mentally prepared, focused, and proper mindset? So you don't. But you do things that are rituals. But that's not the question. This is one of the questions. So the rituals you're talking about in regards to mindset.
What rituals do I have? What rituals did I have in preparing for combat? Training my ass off, being prepared, studying the enemy, being in top physical condition. Those are the rituals. The rituals are the training. And the rituals, like I said, for the 20th time, that little tiny thing, those are just standard operating procedures. And when you do those ritualistically, then you number one, you won't forget anything. You'll know that you have all your gear. You'll know that you've done what you're supposed to do. And when you put your night vision goggles down, you'll know that it's on.
Straight on.
And you'll be mentally prepared.
So your standard operating procedures are rituals by technicality.
Sure.
There you go.
And for those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, Echo just looked extremely proud of this statement right there.
No, I wasn't proud
By
of the statement.
technicality, they are.
I'm proud. I'm proud that I had some influence over you.
I don't want to completely beat a dead horse, because but what bothers me about that idea is people thinking they can cut corners on the preparation. You can't cut corners. That's my point.
Yeah.
You can't cut corners and think you're going to get the 3-minute preparation to be ready for combat, to be ready for battlefield, be ready for a pressure situation, to be ready for a tough business decision. You don't get ready for that in 3 minutes. You get ready for that for months and years. That's how you prepare for it.
Bro, I used to play football at UH, and we had this. I don't know if you ever watched like football
Humble
camp.
brag.
No, I'm laying down the set. We already knew that though.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I was a wide receiver, and for the
You
drills,
were a wide receiver?
I was a lot smaller back
Dang.
then. I was like 180, 185, whatever. Nonetheless, one of the drills was this. If you know football camp, you'll know this. It's like it's a motor on a big tripod, and on the motor are these spinning tires, and they spin this way. Mm-hmm. There's 3 of them, so they go on this weird skewed angle. So basically, you load a football from the back, and you push it through, and it shoots the ball and there's different speeds and stuff like that. So, my coach, what was his name? Coach Miles. I forget if that was his first name or last name. Anyway, Coach Miles. He wasn't a very nice coach, so he would like drill us with it, right? Which is fine. That part is cool because it's training. But the part that I didn't think was very cool was if you missed. Like you would pay a price. Like he would yell
Sprints
at you. He'd make you run. Like if you missed, it wasn't like it was like to me the punishment. It was wrong. Like the system was wrong there.
The punishment didn't fit the crime.
Well, yeah, it wasn't like this isn't gonna make you better to put more pressure on this drill. You know, it was more like, hey, look, hey.
But he wants to cause stress.
Okay, good. I didn't feel that at the time. And now, I mean, I'd have to think about it more. I haven't thought about it in a number of years.
Nowadays your viewpoint would be different.
Maybe, but maybe not, though. No, I don't think so. Only because I think that you're trying to get the best out of these people, for a specific situation.
But on game day, there's going to be a lot of pressure. And
Yeah.
you can actually get used to that stress by inoculating yourself to it. By him saying, look, you got to catch this ball or you're going to pay the man.
Yeah, or just get better at catching. So
Good job, Coach.
So you could focus on getting better at taking stress or getting better at catching.
Okay,
and to
I
me,
will give
he
you
was
that.
focusing on
I
the
will
wrong
give you
thing.
that. Now, what I would say is that he should have combined both of them, and he should have given you guys ample time to just practice the catching part, and then later up the stress.
Hey, man, bro, that would have been great if he did that. Fact is, he did not. So back to the ritual mental preparation, whatever. So it would be stressful for me as a young guy. I was like 17 when I started football. I was, late. Anyway, so I'm like one of the young guys, and so when he'd do stuff like to make it harder and harder and harder. So of course you're gonna miss. So there's this one where he's like, ball, and then you're supposed to turn around, the ball's on its way, full speed thing. It's like, and the thing comes real hard. Anyway, so you'd miss, and then he'd get all mad. So anyway, I'm stressed now. Now every practice I'm going in stressed about that one drill that we gotta do. So before practice, we had this cool, real nice facility. There's this lounge where everyone would just kind of cruise and mellow out because you go, from class to pre-practice prep, and then some meetings, and then practice. There's a little bit of downtime where you can mellow out in the lounge. So in the lounge, I'd close my eyes a lot of the time and be like, just visualize that ball. Only for the drill, not in scrimmage time. Scrimmage time, no problem. But I'm mentally preparing for the drill. I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. Anyway, so yeah, mentally visualizing the ball coming at crazy speeds, and I'm catching them all in my little visualization. So I go, and as time went on, I kept doing that over and over and over. Didn't help the drill at all. Failed. Like, as far as any kind of effect, I would catch some and miss some, get yelled at, more stress. Next day, even more stress. Same thing. So
yeah, I would say this. First of all, visualization of a physical technique is proven to help. So it didn't help in your case. What I would have said would have been the most helpful for you is to say, you know what? I don't care what this guy does to me.
Yeah.
I don't care if I miss this ball or not. I'm going to go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to act like a maniac.
Yeah.
I'm going to have such a good time running down the field. And when he calls ball, I'm going to turn around and do my best to grab that thing. If I don't grab it, I'm going to do 14 somersaults and I'm going to have a good time. And so you would taking the pressure off yourself, because that's probably what was jamming you up, as you like to say.
That was it.
And I'll say this too. Back to this whole idea, right? Another thing that I feel this sort of allergy to this type of thing is it's sort of like on the Tim Ferriss episode where I was just answering questions. Someone asked about motivation, and I said, like, look, motivation isn't your friend, right? Motivation is going to go up and down. I feel like, what's going to be good is discipline. And so that's the difference between what I'm talking about here. Yeah. When we're talking about, hey, what do you do to get in a mindset? Well, that's really talking about, your mental mindset of motivation. No, but what I'm talking about is discipline, standard operating procedures that actually prepare you for what you're about to do. Yeah. Not that motivate you temporarily by listening to a good song or by doing some breathing drill that gets you mentally, but no, the discipline is what's going to make you mentally prepared for what's about to happen. So again, that's why I think I'm a little bit stuck in the mud on this one, and trying to have an open mind. But I think those are the key components for me. I don't like when people try and sell shortcuts on stuff. And make it, hey, you'll be great if you do these 3 minutes. Right. No, actually you won't. You need to do everything else. You need to do the hard work. Yeah. And people buy into that. Why do they buy into that? Because they want to take. Everyone wants the quick and easy. People that listen to this podcast don't. Yeah. Right?
No.
People that are here, we want to get in the game fully.
Yeah. 2 hours. 2 hours in a book.
Yes.
Yeah. No shortcuts there.
No shortcuts. So I think that's the difference. Is some people sell that, and there's too many people that buy into it. When what they should be buying is, hey, hard work and dedication and discipline is what's going to mentally prepare me. Not this other stuff.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah. So really, like I said, the SOP by technicality, it's a ritual. But here's the thing about it being only technically a ritual, because if you take that away, not necessarily the SOP, because that has a full-on function.
You know what? I hate to cut you off, just to talk about what we're talking about here, right? Because I said, hey, with the podcast, and I've said this before, we have a ritual that I do. You do it too. When I come, I brew the tea. Put my pens in. I do the folder. I print the stuff out. I put the knives in the bag. I have a ritual that I go through. Mm-hmm. But case in point, that is not what prepares me for the episode. That's what I was going to say. That is not what prepares me for the recording. What prepares me for the recording is what is spending 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours diving into a book, looking up words I don't know, doing background studies on battles that I don't understand that are mentioned offhand, researching some general that gets mentioned. That's what prepares me. Yeah. That's what gets me in the mindset to record a podcast, not the ritual. Yeah. The ritual doesn't actually mean anything without that core, deep preparation that's done, and that kind of settles our point here.
Yeah, I by no means
very nicely.
I was going straight technical, and you I think you're absolutely correct. And sometimes, because I would fall, like, especially when you're young, you're like, just anything that'll help me, like, did I tie my shoes in the wrong, like superstition goes in there, you know that feeling where you're like, dang, you're just stressed about something, so anything that'll help. And then after a while, you kind of go to yourself, man, it doesn't matter what order I put my shoes on right now. It doesn't matter what color my socks are right now. Man, I used to have this thing where I'd be stressed to go to school for whatever it is, like intermediate. When you're like a new schooler, it's just a little bit stressed. Not full on, but still, I was looking for little things. So it was this weird, even thinking about it right now, it's so weird. So I'd have, music in your car on a tape. So I liked Bushwick Bill, who's this rapper and Ghetto Boys. Anyway,
no idea.
So, and it had a bunch of swearing in it, but it was just a great album, and I liked it. But I had it strangely in my mind. If I listened to like negative stuff, I'd have a negative day. And some people might say like, "Well, that's kind of true," but no, I don't think so. I think it doesn't matter really what music you listen. Maybe certain music might put you in a certain mood, but that's up to you.
Yeah, we're actually going in a whole nother direction, which I'm fine with going there. I have always found that music, to me, like the words in the music, I'm barely registering what they are. I know them. might even be singing along with them in my mind, but the words generally aren't having a huge impact. I mean, I've listened to all kinds of rock and roll music throughout my years.
Yeah.
If I would have followed along with 10% of the lyrics, I would probably be a heroin addict in the gutter somewhere, right? Because you can't just listen to music and obey what they say. In fact, you shouldn't do that. Most music a lot of music is negative, right? I mean, a lot of music is very negative in what it's saying. So...
Yeah,
so what you're saying is the ritual of listening to the right music is important or not important?
No, not important at all. I'm just saying I used to like kind of, I don't want to say fall for that trick, but I was young. I was like in intermediate school.
So you believed it. You believed
at the time.
If you listen to negative music, you might have a
negative day. Yes, and not the kind where it's like I'm going to listen to this and then I choose to go. This will fire me up to do what. It wasn't that. It was a superstition, is what it was. And I'm saying my point for the whole thing is you don't like how people like basically hang their success or failure on some visualization or some ritual.
Yes,
and agree that. And that the point I'm making is. I would have to like remind myself of that. Like, man, the music, like nothing bad's going to happen to me because I listen to Bushwick Bill talk about this thing.
I got you. That I will say this though, that is a conscious decision that you made.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were just listening to, I mean, music changes your mood. Music changes my mood for sure.
Yeah.
And when I hear a certain music, I get a certain reaction to it, and I will get into a certain emotional state from listening to a song that's about something or not something else. You know, that will have an effect on me. Now, I don't know that my point is that the lyrics themselves don't really mean anything. I guess if they do mean something though, and they hit me a certain way, music definitely will put you in a different mood, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you let it, like if you're using it for something like that.
I would say it puts you in a mood unless you don't
let it. Yeah.
Because if you just listen to it, now there's times where you could be listening to whatever music and it's just not going to hit you. But some music that you might have a core thought about. Mm-hmm. Now, does this go back and negate my earlier point that music doesn't affect my mindset? Does that do it? It might, right? Now I'm going back on what I said because I said, music doesn't affect your mindset. I guess I am going back.
Well, yeah, but ultimately, I think really it holds up where you.
Yeah.
The
because
music.
Here's the deal. You're going into a stressful combat situation, and you didn't get a chance to listen to your song. Can you afford to be like, oh no, I can't go? No. Exactly, so that's another reason why yes, I'm staying with my original point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Stick with that. Don't let anyone sway you.
Don't let them.
Still a ritual by technicality, though.